President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump met their French counterparts Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Trogneux on Thursday as part of their Bastille Day visit to Paris, and both women showed off their individual styles in two very different-looking frocks. Melania was the epitome of elegance as she channeled former First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy in a scarlet Dior skirt suit, while Brigitte, 64, sported a mod-inspired mini-dress by Louis Vuitton for their second meeting as First Ladies. Melania's red pumps perfectly matched her suit, but Brigitte paired her stark white dress with blue suede heels, and together they were wearing the colors of the French flag. Melania wore minimal accessories aside from her giant diamond engagement ring, but Brigitte opted to carry her black Louis Vuitton bag for a bit while they posed for pictures. They even sported different hairstyles, with Melania sporting an elegant chignon to show off her skirt suit and Brigitte leaving her blonde bob loose and curled above her shoulders. Upon Melania and Trump's arrival, the two First Ladies exchanged kisses on one another's cheeks after their husbands engaged in another lengthy handshake. The first couples met at the Invalides Monument in Paris for a tour of the Golden Dome building that houses some of France's greatest war heroes, including Napoleon Bonaparte and Marshal Ferdinand Foch, the supreme Allied commander in World War I. As Trump emerged from a limo outside Les Invalides Museum on Thursday, he was greeted by the French president and his wife, Brigitte. Earlier this year, it was Macron whose handshake with Trump left both men with white knuckles and clenched jaws. Macron, who at 39 is modern France's youngest president, later described it as a moment of truth between them. And despite having met since, the two presidents' handshakes continue to be unusual. Trump and Macron engaged in a lengthy handshake and continued to hold one another's shoulders and shake hands for several seconds as they engaged in conversation. At one point, Trump turned outward to point out the scenery, but Macron held on to his hand until he turned back in, allowing for the handshake to finally end. The U.S. president then greeted Brigitte with kisses on her cheeks before they grasped hands in a claw-like manner, which saw their fingers intertwined at shoulder level. Melania then stepped in, taking on a much swifter handshake with Macron than her husband, before greeting Brigitte with two kisses and a friendly hand grasp. The national anthems of both countries then played as Trump and Macron stood at attention before reviewing troops at a formal welcome ceremony for Trump. After touring the grandiose military edifice, Trump and Macron held a bilateral meeting, while Melania and Brigitte continued their tour of Paris. While the two women remained mostly stony-faced while posing for photos with their husbands earlier in the day, they were all smiles after they enjoyed a boat ride down the River Seine. Melania and Brigitte happily waved at onlookers, and Melania threw on a pair of dark, oversized shades for the outing. Thursday's ceremony precedes the Bastille Day military parade. Trump will be the parade's guest of honor to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the U.S. entry into World War I. U.S. troops will open the parade Friday as is traditional for the guest of honor. This is the second time Melania and Brigitte have spent time together. They first met at a NATO First Ladies meeting at Brussels' Magritte Museum in May. Trump and Melania arrived in the French capital on Thursday after an overnight flight from Washington for a whirlwind, 36-hour visit to meet with Macron and tackle potential solutions to the crisis in Syria and discuss broader counterterrorism strategies. Thursday's talks between Trump and Macron are expected to center on fighting terrorism and defense policy, two areas where French-American cooperation has traditionally been strong. There is little downside for Macron. It's important to establish a relationship that is functional for both Mr. Macron and Mr. Trump to know where the other stands so they can speak to each other to facilitate transatlantic relations, said Yannick Demure, a political scientist who follows U.S. politics. The president's decision last month to withdraw the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accord sparked outrage across Europe, and anti-Trump protests are planned while he is in Paris. Macron, a staunch advocate of research to combat global warming, has beckoned all responsible citizens, including American scientists and researchers, to bring their fight against climate change to France. Trump said the climate deal was unfair to the United States. Trump, Merkel, Macron and other leaders huddled last week in Hamburg, Germany, during a summit of the world's leading rich and developing nations.